Hi everyone. Thank you for joining me today. We'll just give it a couple of minutes to allow a few more people to join and then we'll get going. Okay, so I think we'll get going. Hi everyone. Thank you for joining me today. As you're aware, the topic of today's wellness webinar is digestive health. I'm Lottie, I'm a member of the ESS Nutrition and Wellbeing team. I'll be talking you through it all today. So just a bit about what we'll be discussing. So we've got a bit of an overview of our digestive system, then we'll talk about the role of gut bacteria, the different types of fibre and the roles they play within the body, how you can promote the growth of good bacteria, some food tips to maintain digestive health, and then we'll also be touching on the influence stress and exercise can have on your digestive system. So, not sure if many of you are aware, but approximately 70% of our immune system is found in our gut. So, the immune system is a network of cells and organs found throughout the body, which combats infectious diseases and cancers. The lungs and gut are the most vulnerable to infection, and the gut has a single epithelial layer which poses an increased risk of infection. So, digestion begins as soon as we put a mouthful of food into our mouths. Chewing or mastication is the first step, and our saliva from our salivary glands kind of help to provide the lubrication and ensure that it passes down through the esophagus. So, once it is being transported through the esophagus, this is where it then goes into the stomach, and acid within the stomach kind of starts to break down this food. And then it passes into the small intestine where it kind of breaks down even more, and it's the digestive enzymes are secreted from the pancreas and the liver, and this is where the absorption of nutrients takes place. You've then got the large intestine, which is where kind of waste food all bonks together, ready for it to be excreted. So this is just an overview of it all here, so you can see how food passes through. Then it's estimated that there's over 90% exposure to microorganisms within the gut. So then what does this mean? So there's over 100 trillion bacteria found on or in the body, with the majority of it being found in the gut. So it seems to be like most concentrated in the colon, and there can be up to 1,000 different species in there. So there's different sections of the digestive tract which are better suited to absorbing specific nutrients, and most are absorbed in the small intestine. So going down through the diagram, you've got the stomach, then you've got the duodenum, then you've got the jejunum, you've then got the ileum and the caecum, and then you've got the colon. So the digestive tract is really important for kind of overall health and also gut function. So if your digestive tract isn't healthy, then your gut will kind of struggle to pass through food through your body, and it's just not very healthy. So then the role of gut bacteria. So bacteria have a really strong influence on the health and function of the gut, but also for the whole body. So there are kind of good bacteria and also bad bacteria. So your good bacteria can help break down undigested food in the large intestine, and they can also help to discourage the growth of harmful and also pathogenic microorganisms. They help to keep the gut working properly, and they can also help stimulate the immune system. So this is kind of what helps you stop getting sick. And they can also produce some vitamins, so things like B12 and also vitamin K. So that's the good bacteria. So then on the other side, you have the kind of bad gut bacteria. So these can produce toxins and carcinogens, encourage the growth of bad bacteria, and also create intestinal gas. So to enable easy absorption of nutrients, many of the bacteria, which are also known as commensals, are perfectly normal part of the gut population and don't cause disease. And they can help perform really important roles, such as I've obviously mentioned the digestion of food, but it's those harmful species you've got to watch out for. So then the protective barrier. If you think of it similar to if you have a big, strong, healthy tall tree, you're unlikely to be able to see their roots, but their root network is probably really extensive. And if not, then the healthy tree will suffer. So this is kind of a bit like the protective barrier that we've got inside our guts. So how do they work to protect us? So as I mentioned in the previous slide, the majority of all bacteria kind of colonize in the colon wall. And this is because it has a more neutral pH, a shorter transit time. You've also got food and water sources as well. So they kind of build a protective barrier along the intestinal villi to help prevent the bad bacteria or pathogens infiltrating through the gut wall. Because if they get through the gut wall, they can kind of get into the blood and also into respiring cells. So the bacteria provide a protective barrier that we can influence through our environment and through the food we eat. So we'll go on to food in a minute. And it's basically the gut's like first line of defense. You've then also got the mucosal layer. So this can come a bit drier as we get older. And then you also have the epithelial layer. So this is kind of a single layer to aid the absorption of nutrients across the wall. But because it's a really thin layer, it can make us a bit more vulnerable to infection as well. So then we come on to different factors which affect our digestive health. So there's lots of different factors which can affect our digestive system. So you've got aging, stress, medication. So this is things like if you take antibiotics, they not only wipe out the good bacteria, they not only wipe out the bad bacteria, but sometimes they can also wipe out the good bacteria, which is why you may experience symptoms of constipation or also diarrhea whilst you take them. You then have infection, your environment. So if you're going on holiday to an environment that you're not used to, there'll be loads of new species of bacteria there, which our bodies might not be used to, and it could disrupt our stomach and digestive tract. So this is when you get things like traveler's diarrhea when you go away. Then you also have changes in the diet or a bad diet. So kind of an imbalance of all of these factors can create an imbalance in your gut bacteria and negatively affect your digestive health. So you're probably wondering, how can we maintain a good digestive health? So you want to help your waste move throughout the digestive tract more slowly. You want to be ingesting good bacteria to kind of help build that protective layer and that barrier against the bad bacteria, which can cause harm. And then you want to be ingesting food, which can help promote the growth of the good bacteria. So just going on to food. So some of you may be familiar with this diagram, some of you may not. So this is called the Eat Well Guide. And this is essentially a guideline of what our food should look like across the day. So you want to be having a third of your diet from fruit and vegetables, a third of your diet from starchy carbohydrates. So this is like your main energy source. So this is things like potatoes, bread, rice, pasta. And when you're eating these, you can try and aim for whole grain options. So brown rice, whole grain pasta, as they can have more fibre in. And we'll get on to the key role fibre has in the diet in a little bit. You've then got your protein sources. So that's the kind of thinner pink layer towards the bottom. Then get your dairy. And then there's a small section for oils and spreads. And then obviously all the good stuff with things like cakes and biscuits, things that are really high in fat, salt and sugar. These are what you want to be aiming to consume in small amounts and less often. So I've touched on fibre being part of your starchy carbohydrates. So what is fibre? So fibre is a key component to maintaining good digestive health. It's the non-digestible part of plants. So you can have high fibre carbohydrates, but it's also found in your fruit and vegetables section. And there are 3 different types. So you've got your soluble fibre, your insoluble fibre, and then you've also got your resistant starch. And some foods that are high in fibre can provide all 3 different types. So then just going into a bit about the 3 different types. So I'll start with the soluble fibre. So soluble fibre supports the growth of the friendly bacteria. So this is the bacteria that you need to help maintain a healthy gut. And it helps to reduce cholesterol absorption by binding to it in the gut. And it can also help to control your blood sugar levels. So sources of soluble fibre include things like fruit, oats, and also barley. You've then got your insoluble fibre. So this is what will add bulk to your stools as it absorbs water and it doesn't dissolve in water. So it helps to keep your kind of bowel movements regular. And sources that are containing insoluble fibre, things like wholemeal bread, wheat bran, vegetables, and also your nuts. So then the last type of fibre is resistant starch. So this develops during the heating and then cooling of some food products, so things like potato and rice. And foods high in resistant starch often can have a low glycemic index. And so sources of resistant starch are things like lentils, chickpeas, almonds, and onions. So overall, we should be aiming to consume about 30 grams of fibre per day, but currently we're only consuming 19 grams. So we're only 2/3 of the way there. So increasing your fibre is really important in your diet. So you might have heard of things like active cultures. So these are things like your Yakults or your Actimel, and these are basically robust enough to pass through the whole digestive tract, so all the way through your gut alive. And it's slightly different to live yogurt, which is actually killed by stomach acid. So it's not the same. And these active cultures can be found in things like fermented milk drinks. So like I mentioned, your Yakult or yogurt, so Actimel, and also dietary supplements. So that supplement in the top right-hand corner is an example. If you want to be having some active cultures, it's important that you make sure that the strain is stated on the product. So this could be lactobacilli and bifidobacteria. And you also want to make sure that the name has 3 parts. So you might be able to see on the Yakult bottle, it says lactobacilli casei shirota. So that's the kind of species that is in that drink, and that's what you need to look for. And you want to also look out for the strain of bacteria being stated on the label, and also that it's over 1 billion. So you can see that food supplement has 450 billion bacteria per sachet. So then how can you promote the growth of good bacteria? So non-digestible food ingredients have the ability to stimulate the growth and also increase the activity of the good bacteria. So it almost acts as like a natural fertilizer in your body to help the good bacteria grow. So foods that contain these and promote the growth of your good bacteria are things like garlic, leeks, you've got banana, asparagus, onions, chicory root, and artichoke. So incorporating these foods into your diet can help increase your good bacteria and help with a healthy function of your gut. So now moving on to fermented foods. So you might have heard a lot about these, seen them in the supermarket. It's kind of a growing market at the minute, and it's products which often have quite unique sour, tangy flavors. So it could be things like sourdough. So we've got a photo of sourdough, sauerkraut, and also kimchi. So fermented foods are basically food and drinks which have been made as a result of intentional and extensive microbial growth. Like I say, there's lots available on the market at the minute. There currently needs to be more research to determine the associated health benefits, but if they're incorporated into a healthy, balanced diet, that's still a good step. So then just some common myths, some that you might think currently or that you've heard from other people. So spicy food alone can cause heartburn. So spicy foods can cause heartburn, but also a lot of other foods can do this as well. If you find that you are subject to heartburn, it's important that you could try maybe stay upright after meals to allow the time for your food to digest throughout your body. Also, not eating close to bedtime. Again, if you're eating really close to bedtime, you'll be going to sleep lying down and it's harder for all your food to digest. Also, not smoking and losing weight can help to decrease your chance of heartburn as well, and also with acid reflux. So then another one, IBS is all about diet. So IBS is irritable bowel syndrome. It's disease that can affect the gut and your digestion. So diet can be a really important trigger, but also so can stress, anxiety, and GI infections. So if you think IBS could be something that you're subject to, or you're experiencing the symptoms of it. Symptoms include things like excessive gas and bloating, and it's important that you keep a diary of your symptoms and your diet, and you can maybe identify specific triggers along the way. And you can also seek advice from your healthcare professional as well, if it's something you're worried about. So colonics are safe. So while colonic cleansing may be temporarily useful, studies haven't supported any long-term benefit. So it could actually cause damage to the lining of the colon. So that's one trend that's possibly good to stay away from. And then we've got only beans cause gas. So it's true that beans and lentils can lead to gas and bloating, however, lots of other foods do it the same, and people can react differently to different foods. So dairy foods and also slow absorbed carbohydrates, so more fibrous ones such as your brown pasta, rice, and bread. Can also increase your kind of gas and bloating, and some medical conditions can affect it as well. So hopefully that myth busting has been helpful. Then we'll just go on to kind of summarize the food tips around maintaining your digestive health. So it's really important to eat a variety of foods, different foods to promote different growth of gut bacteria. So it's important that you're eating a wide range of foods. You want to make sure that you're eating enough fiber. So it's aiming for that 30 grams a day. Perhaps swap out your usual white rice for brown rice, or get wholemeal bread instead of white bread. It's all those small changes which you can start to make, which you'll see a difference in your kind of digestion. And then when you're eating fruits and vegetables, try and keep the skins on where possible. So skins on your apples, your potatoes, your carrots, as these are what kind of hold the most fiber. So if you're binning them away, it's such a waste because you're not getting the fiber that you could be. Then going on to 5 a day. So this is really important to eat a rainbow, eat a wide variety of fruits and vegetables. If you're not sure kind of what a portion is, it's roughly like a handful, or also 80 grams. Things like fresh fruit and vegetables, frozen and also canned, all count towards your 5 a day. So it should be, it's quite easy to get that in. And also if you have things like citrus fruits, so oranges, they can help to soften your stools as well. So if you have trouble with that, that could be something to try. Also including things like your beans, pulses and legumes. So they're high in fiber as well, and they'll help to kind of maintain your digestive health. They're also a good source of protein as well. You want to make sure that your fluid levels are topped up and you maintain hydration. This can help kind of flush out any toxins that you may have, but also it will help to soften stools. So fiber can be quite hard, and if you're not drinking enough water or liquid as well, it can be quite hard to kind of pass through your body. So that's why you might experience symptoms of constipation. So that's why it's really important to make sure that you stay hydrated. Then a lot of people drink peppermint tea. So if you're bloated or suffer from cramps or abdominal pains, this can help your gut muscles relax and settle any excess gas. Then just a bit about stress. So when we're stressed, we produce a stress hormone called cortisol. And cortisol can basically disrupt the communication from our brain to our gut, which can result in digestive health disturbances in our bacterial layer. Also, when we're stressed, we might reach for unhealthier foods, so foods high in fat, which our body kind of struggles to digest. So it's important that you don't reach for those and you're maintaining a healthy, balanced diet. So some tips to try and reduce stress. So you can use breathing techniques, lots of different meditation apps or mindfulness. If you find that you are quite stressed, it's a good way to sort of take a moment to yourself and kind of bring yourself back into the present moment. Then got taking time out. Again, if you're feeling like you're having a stressful morning or at work, just take a step away, maybe go for a walk around the block or something, to kind of just try and reduce that stress. And if you're really struggling with your stress levels, reach out and talk to someone. There'll be people at your workplace that you can speak to who will be able to help and offer you advice as well. And then I touched on eating a balanced diet. So next we have exercise. So recent studies have shown that exercise can help to increase the volume and diversity of good bacteria. And it can also help with strengthening of the internal muscles as well. So it doesn't need to be really intensive exercise, just kind of incorporating that regular exercise into your daily routine is what's important. So you want to be aiming for about 30 minutes of exercise 5 times a week. So this could be something even as simple as just walking, whether that's walking the dog or going out for a walk at lunch. Or I know working from home, sometimes it's hard to get out and get your steps in, but could you go for a walk before work? Also getting up and standing throughout the day is really important. So yeah, just incorporating regular exercise and kind of whatever works for you, whether that's just a walk or running or even yoga or Pilates, they've all been shown to help. So then lastly, just a bit of a roundup. So tips on how you can get good digestive health. So the last one we were just speaking about, so exercising regularly. I said that it can help to strengthen your gut wall muscles. And in having stronger intestinal muscles, this can then help push food through your digestive tract. When you're eating, try and chew properly and also eat slowly. So the start of the digestive process is really important. So when you've got the food in your mouth and you're kind of salivating and chewing it all up, so you've got to make sure that it's really broken down before it sort of starts passing its way down through your esophagus into your intestine. Then when you're eating, try not to eat on the go or when watching TV. So research has shown that we eat less if we're not distracted by other things. So eating large meals, which is on the next point, can kind of put a strain on your digestive system. So if you're kind of distracted and you're just eating lots, then this isn't very good. So that's why it's important to also eat small mouthfuls, and chew every bit of food in your mouth and also have smaller portions of food. You also want to be trying to reduce your intake of high fat foods. So the body finds it harder to break these down. So puts more stress on your digestive system. So that's why it's important for those. So we've come to the end of the webinar today. Before I take any questions, I just want to share this slide with you so you can see a photo of myself and also Leanne on there. If you have any personal wellbeing questions, maybe you don't want to ask a question today, you can just drop us an email and we'll get back to you. And then also to look out for our next seasonal magazine. So this will be our spring edition, which will hopefully be released next week. So keep an eye out for that. And then if you know any colleagues who wanted to be here today, but perhaps couldn't make it, you can remind them that these webinar sessions get uploaded onto our YouTube channel. So normally we hold them on the first Wednesday of every month, but because of Easter this year, we just pushed it back a week. So yes, watch out for the invite for the next one. So I will just stop sharing or I can stay sharing my screen, but I'll just come back to see if there are any questions. And again, if you don't want to ask any, then that's fine. You can just drop us an email. What I'll do is I'll leave it on this email slide so that you can note down. But yeah, thank you so much for joining, everyone. I hope you found that useful and you've got some insightful bits to take away. We're always welcome any feedback, so you can also drop us an email with that as well. And yes, thanks everyone for joining. Hopefully you've learned a few things, and yes, I will see you next month. Thank you very much.